Ladies and gentlemen, can you hear me? Is my mic coming through? It's working. Hello. Good evening to you all. It's 7 o'clock on Monday evening. What's the date today? 30th? 29th of November. It's the end of the month. We're approaching December Outturn. And I want to go live with you. This is what we're calling a December walkthrough, if you like. I just want to do a quick shout out to some people who've tuned in. Whiskey's My Jam. Rowan Hitch, Whiskey's My Jam again on YouTube. Lee Wallace, evening gents. Good to see you all. A Facebook user. And hey, Matt. Sometimes Restream doesn't actually let you throw the names up on screen so you can see Lee saying evening, which is great. Hello, Lee. But sometimes it doesn't actually show the name. But that's okay. I'll still show your comments unless they're rude, of course, you know. Good to see you all. It is, of course, December Outturn preview is the best way to put it. Or walkthrough, actually. I'm going to call it a walkthrough because that's really what it is. It's a walkthrough. What that means is we're going to have a look at each page in Outturn, have a chat about it all, and see what it's all about. So I'll pop that up on screen. Oh, look at that technology. So, Krishna. Oh, by the way, happy birthday to Krishna. Are you actually 30 today? Dude, massive shout out to Krishna live on the live stream right now. Happy birthday, mate. I think it's your 30th today, or was it today or yesterday? I'm really sorry, but happy birthday, mate. You know what? 30 is an absolute milestone. I remember it well. Good evening, says Danny. Look, it's so good to see all these people who are on the train as well coming in. Thanks for the beanie legend. Of course, anytime. I haven't given away many beanies, so I reckon I could nail down who that is. Yes. Hey, you know what? Ladies and gentlemen of the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, it's Krishna's birthday. If you don't know Krishna, that means you went in on a chocolate tasting. He is the mad scientist of chocolate. This guy knows how to pair chocolate with whiskey like no one else in Australia, maybe the world. And that's a big call, but I mean it. So happy birthday to you, Krishna. You know what? That's better than writing on your wall on Facebook. This is a live shout out. So it's great. So great to see so many of you in tonight. Tonight is a December Outturn walkthrough. So I've got a dram in hand. I encourage you to do the same. And my dram is actually from this Outturn coming up from December Outturn, which is really exciting that I've actually got one of the casks in the office because I don't often get that opportunity. They often we want to make sure as many of them get to members. Sometimes I get a few of them in the office like I did for November, but it is a smaller Outturn for December. And I want to address some of those topics. And first of all, the reason why we're doing this walkthrough is because I get so many messages, and Susie gets lots of phone calls and emails as well. I get messages, people saying, oh, what should I get? Or which one's good? From now on, I'm just going to direct them to this video instead. Will Pitchforth, who is the commercial director for Bladnock, says he would give me a Bicentennial 29, and thank you for the birthday wishes, Matt. He's hooking you up with a Bicentennial 29-year-old Bladnock. That's quite a birthday gift. That's even better than my shout out. I see where you're going with this. His chocolate is amazing. That is true. Okay, let me address this first question. This is a lightweight Outturn. This is a top-up Outturn, we're going to call it. Basically, just a little bit in December just to keep us going throughout the month. Because we often find members go, oh, is there anything good in December I should get? And it's like, well, yeah, actually, let's do a small Outturn. This Outturn is not coming out as a physical copy. It is a digital-only release. It's a small issue. So we're not printing this one. We do a printed copy for those who want to keep the printed copies going. This one's digital only. So if you're keeping an eye on your mailbox for this, don't keep an eye on your mailbox. It's not coming. Sorry. So this is a digital copy of Outturn only this month for December. No printed copies. We probably should have said that actually on the digital copy, digital only edition or something. Siva Dow on YouTube says, I usually eat Old Gold 70%, might have to diversify. Old Gold's great, but it's a bit like in the chocolate world, and Krishna, you can correct me on this if you want. In the chocolate world, Cadbury's sort of like one of those things, like it's a bit like the Woolies brand of anything else. It's like when you try something like if you try Woolies, lean steak, and you cook that steak and it tastes like sort of a bit yeah. I mean, that's steak flavored meat, isn't it? It's kind of like, yeah, I guess it's a steak. But then you go to like a restaurant and you try like an incredible, like one of those restaurants that's known for their steak, and it's like you have one of the most amazing steaks that just melts on the fork, kind of steaks. That's the equivalent of Cadbury versus Krishna in this chocolate example. I mean that. I'm just trolling. Sorry, mate. I'm used to trolling. Give it your best shot. Lightweight, but also cast strength. Yeah, that's true. Look, there is nothing lightweight about the proofs on these whiskeys. Just the number of bottlings. We normally do about 12 to 15 bottlings in an Outturn. This one's only got a few less than that, but it's about half that size. But it's yeah, it's this Friday, and I want to do a video on Monday. And you can watch this video back later. Of course, we're going to post this out in the email blast coming up in the next few days as well, just about Outturn again. Check your inboxes. On Friday, we sent the Outturn out to everyone. 1st of December, since when? No, not 1st of December, 3rd of December. Friday the 3rd of December is when Outturn hits. First Friday, always first Friday. Yes, there you go. Cadbury is like Johnny Walker for whiskey. There's nothing wrong with Cadbury. There's nothing wrong with Johnny Walker. They both make great product. It's just that they it's just there's a different realm, and Krishna makes a different realm of whiskey, and the society makes a different realm. Krishna makes a different realm of chocolate. We make a different realm of whiskey. Sorry, I haven't even had a dram yet. Maybe that's the problem. I'm fudging my words. Each to their, yeah, exactly. Much like whiskey, each to their own. I won't judge them publicly. No, neither will I. And that's the thing. I mean, there's a time and place for everything. I've always said this. Whether you like your blended whiskeys or if you like, things like that. There's always a time and place for that. There's no need to be bashing blends. In fact, one of my favorite articles I wrote was 5 things I wish I'd known earlier in my whiskey journey, and one of those points was bashing blends is silly. And have a read of it. It's on our website. Anyway. You know what? It's time to dig back into what. Let me actually get to the topic tonight. The December Outturn walkthrough. This is not a tasting of everything in December. This is just my walkthrough of it to let everyone know what's going on. So I better bring up the main screen here. I'll hide that. So we've got here the front cover, which is sort of an Art Deco, sort of 1920s. It's a throwback to the 20s as we head into the sort of the first year of the full 1920s, I guess. So not 2021 we're heading into it, but we're seeing out 2022 we're heading into. So we're seeing out 21 by sort of harking back to the 1920s with our cover here, with the 2020s here. So spice up your life. Friday the 3rd of December, the first Friday of the month. There it is. That's a good question. Also, so as I said before, from Mark Teague's question, there's no printed copy, and there's technically no malt of the month either. So Jesse Morgan says, was there a malt of the month in this Outturn? Technically not. As we said, this is more of a top-up Outturn. Just a sort of a digital only top up, no malt of the month. We didn't have anything really to showcase for malt of the month, so we thought we'd just throw some good releases out anyway. I'm not sure what that means. Queen Street? You mean like Queen Street, like the venue? Great venue. Okay, so here's the cover. Like I said, it throws back. Mark your diaries now. Summer serves and festive spirits. Friday the 3rd of December. Oh yes. Edinburgh did have a Gatsby night. Sorry, you're right. Yeah, they've been having some 1920s themed parties over in Edinburgh. If only we could internationally fly over there, that'd be great. So here's Outturn. Here's our contents page, our bundle offers. I'm going to get to that. And my little article, I like to put, Andrew and I both like to put our ambassadors and cellar masters columns in every Outturn as a sort of a bit of reading, bit of fun. And my one's just about sort of, let's say goodbye to this year and how, I used to think it was foolish to think that, oh yeah, next year will always be better, because it's always that, but it's not foolish, and it's hopeful. I think it's a good thing to have. Andrew then writes about samples, starting, sympathy, and strength. So the 4 S's. This is a great little read here. He's done a double pager for us, and it's a sort of about the pursuits of whiskey, about samples, about starting off in whiskey, all that kind of stuff. And I just and it's a good read about, especially those who aren't so used to cask strength whiskey. It's a great read for there as well. Let's have a look at some of these whiskeys. So we're going to start with 63.70. 63s are fun. 63s are kind of like, I call that the kind of a, it's often quite the distillate from 63 is often quite like tinned peaches, and like that freshly, like SPC tinned peaches to be precise. So they often have that sort of flavor of like almost sometimes almost a metallic element to their spirit, and it reminds me. Some of their spirit reminds me of the sort of those blends of yesteryear, like Buchanan's Black and White or J&B and things like that, which are another era of whiskey making of like blended whiskeys from like 1950s and 60s. The spirit from 63 still reminds me of that, and I know a lot of their spirit is still used in blending today, and for different blends around the world. And in fact, I don't think they have a core range. They might, but it might be like one bottling, might be like a 10-year-old one bottling or something. This is an 8-year-old second fill bourbon barrel, 62%, sweet, fruity, and mellow. All that matters is the flavor profile. Don't worry about code hunting, don't worry about any of that stuff. I've always said that before. But like Plants on the Windowsill is the name of it. It's the 70th cask from Distillery 63 that has passed the tasting panel, and we've only got 36 to go around. So that's you could almost call that a malt of the month, but it's not really malt of the month. It's just something a bit young, fun, and very summery. So we deliberately pick out some rather summery casks for December as we head into the warmer months. The kind of casks you'll be happy to open up on a hot day and enjoy. That's all that matters. And then we've got 2.124, Making Your Mind Up. This is again another space cider from a much more reputable brand in terms of single malts. A 14-year-old from the second distillery ever to join the society. Starts with Glen. That doesn't tell you much, does it? But you probably guess what it is. But it's this whiskey is particularly sort of like sweet, fizzy sherbet kind of notes, which is really, really desirable. Again, those kind of flavors that are great in summer. Fizzy sherbet, vanilla, hint of ginger, white pepper. The heat on this bit of spicy hit in the palate, but it faded away to give away a sort of summery Pim's jelly garnished with plenty of finely shredded mint. Very floral experience. Floral is a note very often associated with Distillery too as well. Their core range, their bottlings, their distillate, very commonly associated with floral notes. So there's a distillery out there called Glenfiddich that is often renowned for sort of like pear drops is a tasting note I often hear of that whiskey. But this whiskey you often hear floral notes, like fresh bouquets of flowers kind of things. And I thoroughly agree with that. So I'll just pop that back down again. So there's the first two casks of a very small outturn right there. Then we have 135.28, which is actually the whiskey that's in my glass right now. The Spicy and Sweet 135, a Highland whiskey, first fill bourbon barrel for 9 years, only 18 bottles to go around. As some spirit from that one of those 18 is in my glass right now and is being featured at one of our events coming up, that's why there's not actually going to be 18 on sale. Be probably closer to sort of 12 or something like that. But there's enough to go around. It's a 135. 135s are not everyone's cup of tea. I've got a friend of mine, Mark, if you're watching, often tells me how much he dislikes 135s because they're often quite. In fact, the name almost gives it away. Nice wine. They're often quite sort of. They use funky ferments. They use wine yeasts and interesting wine barrels sometimes as well. But the spirit could be best described. I've talked about Distillery 135 ad nauseum in the past because I think it is one of the most interesting and diverse distilleries in Scotland. And I've talked about this distillery in the past because I think it's the diversity of their spirit and offering is just so exciting. So 135 is you often find like almost like horse stables, funky wines. Things like a dusty old Sauterne sometimes. That's the best way to put it. I mean, the paneling notes here say that the one panel is managed carrying fresh hay into an old but very well-kept barn, while another was drinking pineapple juice at a petrol station. How's that for a tasting note? Pineapple juice at a petrol station. That, for me, I immediately get what they mean by the pineapple on this one. There's like there's almost like a flinty, pineapple-y kind of like there's a fruitiness, but there's like it's a bit of honey, bit of like lemon cake. Yeah, like this is very much an aperitif. This is like a funky barnyard aperitif. They are fun whiskies. They're sort of off the wall kind of things. And after 9 years in a first fill, it develops a rich vanilla flavor from that first fill ex-bourbon barrel. This is like concentrated funky apples. Yeah, that's lovely. It's like much sweeter on the finish than I was expecting. Bit of tiramisu. Anyway, that is lovely. Let me grab some of these comments coming through. Krishna, haha, you must have put something potent in my chocolate if I said that. Sure. Jesse Morgan says, any chance of some more dragon blood? Are you referring to the 30.something, 30.118 or 116 was in the 113 that was in the November outturn? That's well and truly sold out. There is, however, another 30, which I'll show you coming up. So let's move on to the 94.13. Okay, I've said before that the 94 is a mid sort of code for us, but .13, this is only the 13th ever cask from this distillery the panel has passed. Not necessarily offered up, but passed by panel as being good enough. This is a spicy and dry 12-year-old first fill Highland whiskey, 61.3%, 36 bottles available in the country, and it's called Follow the Furry Cheesemonger. The distillate from this distillery is also on the same page as that 135, quite unique. It's often quite cloying, often quite sort of like cheesy. There's actually a cheese note that comes through on some of their spirit, which makes sense with the name of that whiskey. The name alludes to the flavor, and then the tasting note alludes to the rest of the flavor in that whiskey. There's a comment coming through here. Oh yeah, someone says, I struggle with 35 and all the others linked too. And that's fine. I mean, it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. The thing is that they're utterly unique. And that's what's most important. They've passed panel. They are interesting whiskies. They're very unique, but they're not everyone's cup of tea. I personally prefer the 112s and the 122s myself. They're also distillates from that same distillery. The 112s are often a little bit creamier and a bit more balanced, I find personally. And the 122s are just wild. They're fun. The 135s are great as well, but they're all very different. We also got G9, which we recently had G9.4 and G15 in the same distillery lingo. There we go. Back on to 94. It says at the start here, a typically unusual and charismatic opening for this notorious make. So it's referring to the new make being quite notorious. And then notorious is used here in not necessarily a negative way. It's used in a way like, this new make is notorious for being, it is so unique. It is such an unusual new make and sometimes so hard to work with. So which might indicate that the panel's seen quite a few samples of this distillery, but has only passed 13 casks ever. 170 bottles total yielded from the cask, and then 36 for Australia. It does say here, I've not tasted this, but it does say, background notes of sort of Parmesan. There's that cheese note from the spirit. Which can often be really nice. Like it's a cheesy sort of waxy spirit. So if you like distillery codes, say, I'm going to say 18 or distillery codes 26 or distillery codes 52, 94 might be your cup of tea. Curious notes of oranges dipped in iron fillings, farmhouse cider, sheep wool oils, mechanical touches like WD-40. See, that sounds for me like a very savory, very spicy and dry whiskey. So if you like your whiskeys on the drier side, on this more savory, biscuity, kind of like farmyard funky oils and weird stuff like that, I know I do. If that's your cup of tea, then that's certainly the kind of whiskey you want to have a look at. They're never dull drams. Actually, it's great. That's a great comment. Yeah, there you go. Agree with 94. Similarly, with never dull drams. The 94s are never dull. I mean, they're unbelievably weird, funky, shaved Parmesan, WD-40 kind of notes, and that's exciting. And especially, I think they're the kind of whiskeys that really do well with water as well, if I'm being honest. And then on the right, we have Magical Curing, a big, deep, rich, and dried fruits, 17-year-old Speyside, 37.113 is the code. We do love our 37s. 37 was one of the distilleries in the Diageo Classic Malts. Is one of my favorite distilleries. In the last 2 years, I think I've moved 37 from sort of maybe even into the top 10. I don't know about this particular release. I will be tasting it next Saturday at Sydney Steps. If you are based in Sydney and you haven't booked in for Sydney Steps, you may be thinking to yourself, hey, I've got something on that Saturday night. And that's fine, because Steps is at 2:00 on the Saturday. So please, if you want to book in, don't delay. This is the time to do it, because we're going to have to close off bookings soon to make sure catering and everything is sorted. We've got a cocktail rum bar coming. We've got the Sydney Oyster Girls coming. We've got whiskey surrounding the room. It's going to be an absolute hoot. So that's exciting. First fill STR Barrique Oloroso seasoned. Okay. let's examine what that means. So the cask type, this whiskey spent 15 years in an ex-bourbon hogshead and then was transferred into a shaved, toasted, recharred, and Oloroso seasoned first fill barrique. Wowza, what a mouthful. So that cask treatment there, STR means shave, toast, rechar. It's a cask treatment that was popularized by, I should say innovated by, or maybe even invented. I'm going to say innovated by Dr. Jim Swan. May he rest in peace. Back in the years ago for and when he was doing a lot of work at the time for Kilhoman, Cavalan, I think Kingsbarns. There's a whole list of distilleries that he worked for and consulted for especially in terms of speeding up maturation and different cask treatments. This one is a Oloroso seasoned, so ex-sherry seasoned STR barrique. Barrique, as I've said before, is the fancy French word for barrel. So, almost got that wrong. So that's 17-year-old in the deep, rich, and dried fruits, magical curing. That's going to be a popular whiskey. I don't need to talk too much about that. In fact, you will be able to taste that at one at Sydney Steps as well. Andrew's got a few surprises up his sleeve. I'm not going to give away too much, but that's one that I'm really looking forward to tasting in the next week or so. But notes of here on like warm apple pie muffins, walnut glaze, poppy seeds, oaky sweetness, black cherries, dark chocolate prunes. See, they sound like the tasting notes of something definitely placed in the deep, rich, and dried fruits profile. Okay, so let's move on. Light and delicate. Now here, a bit like spicy and dry, is a flavor profile that I don't think gets nearly enough attention because they are still natural cask strength. In this case, 57.2. Light and delicate does not mean low proof. That doesn't mean it's we've lightened it down or it's lighter in proof. It doesn't mean that at all. What it means is that it's lighter in profile, and the whiskey profile is lighter in flavor. There's those softer, often I'll say fluffier kind of whiskeys that work really well in summer, which is what we're heading into. So that's why this one falls into that category. 6.49. Now I've talked about Distillery 6 before as well. I've actually gone proper high horse on Distillery 6 before. Distillery 6 is they're some of the most unusual shaped stills, and they produce, I would argue, some of the most interesting new make in Scotland. They market their spirit. I'm trying very hard not to say distillery names here. They market their spirit as Glendevron, I think, in Australia or around the world. Is their single malt. They're one of those distilleries that don't use their distillery name to promote their single malt. They use a different brand name, in this case, Glendevron. Not very popular as a single malt. Again, most of it goes in for blenders. And I think this one is part of Pernod Group, Shivers. I think a lot of it might go to Shivers. I could be getting my groups from here. Distilleries often change hands and quite often, so not really. I'm going to get some wrong sometimes, but pardon me. Let's have a look at the tasting notes on this one. I've talked about this distillery. I think they are just a fascinating distillery. So rather brusque and charismatic initial aroma of camp coffee, sweet camphor, rubber plimsolls, honey-scented lozenges, and crisp cereals. That cereal note, that for me is a massive green tick. If I throw the tasting notes and I see reference to the cereal, to being able to taste the grain and not just cask and not just, to be able to taste the grains coming off that still, that's exciting. That's like you're tasting the farm almost, but not without the funkiness in this case. Lighter notes underneath of wildflowers, linseed oil, tobacco leaf, and mint tea. Reduction brings carnation milk sweetness, rye bread with honey, lemon curd, things like dates and chopped walnuts. And it says, sharp citrus, buttery corn on the cob, mojitos, pink wafers, orange bitters. That sounds like, for me, a hot Sunday afternoon of a dram. It's just, it sounds delicious because, again, I'm not tasted this particular one. Second fill bourbon barrel, #team refill right there. Space Cider, 11 years old. Light and delicate also doesn't mean young. And neither does the age statement. The age statement and cask type, I've hammered this home before. The age statement and cask type in the whiskeys is not determined. It does not determine the flavor profile. So let me give you examples of that. In the past, we've had deep, rich, and dried fruit whiskeys from refill bourbon barrels, for real. And we've had light and delicate whiskey. We've had light and delicate, even young and sprightly whiskey. We had a young and sprightly 14-year-old refill sherry cask once. So young and sprightly, sherry cask, but 14 years of age. It's only down to the flavor of that whiskey, not what's the cask type or age or anything is. And I really I can't stress that enough, and that's really important because that is what that's what flavor is all about. If you just joined us, we're about 25 minutes in. I was just going to show we are doing a December Outturn walkthrough. We're just having a look at each page, having a chat about each whiskey. Seriously, throw your questions and comments into the chat. I'd love to answer any of them because the whole idea behind this was Susie gets a ton of emails and phone calls. I get a ton of messages and Facebook comments and Instagram comments and everything saying, oh, which one should I get or which one should I like? Hopefully what this video will do is help provide a bit of guide for what's coming in December Outturn for you. Let's move on to the next one, shall we? Now, on the same page here, we have 66.198. I know we have some diehard 66 fans. This is rather cool, though. This is a Highland lightly peated whiskey, aged for 23 years. So it's had 21 years in ex-bourbon, 2 years in a French oak, refill French oak barrique. So a French oak cask, a French oak barrique, French oak barrel, sorry. So basically old smoke, like old schools, tantalizing wood smoke, honey, ice cream in a garden. What do we got? Palate found hickory chip barbecue pork ribs, golden syrup, treacle, chalky sweets, cloves, cinnamon, sandalwood, leather. So all those sort of old whiskey notes, a 23-year-old whiskey. But something really cool here, which I want to touch on. This whiskey was distilled on the 23rd of October, 1997. This was, I think, the last or second last. Malt nerds might want to pull me up on this. I think it was the second last distillery to cease coal-fired stills in Scotland. It was Ardmore and Glendronach were the last two. So these guys, I think, finished up in about 2001. So what we're tasting here is pre-direct steam or direct fire. This is coal-fired still era of 66. Now, for those of you who like to nerd out about that kind of stuff, I get it because it's so exciting. This is from an era when the stills were still running, were coal-fired, and they provided a very, very different spirit distillate. Like the spirit came off much heavier, I have found in the past, much more oily, much more viscous, much more textural. I love modern 66. Modern 66 can be quite clinical at times, can be quite brisk, very sort of clean Highlander smoke. They're not peated whiskies. They're very much smoky for me. And they are peated, sorry, but you know what I mean? They're like, they come across as sort of like a really clean whiff of a cigar, some of them, rather than a boggy, mossy kind of taste like some Islay whiskies. And I love that in a whiskey. But this is from a different era. We are talking a 23-year-old from Distillery 66. Whiskey's my jam says, diehard 66 fan number one, Johnny Edwards. I don't know, actually. It's almost like you've doubled the number of his usual favorite there, Mr. Teague. I thought he was a diehard 33 fan, but I think he might be both. I know he's a big Pete fan, so that's kind of cool. Big shout out to Johnny, by the way. Big shout out to Whiskey's My Jam, and thank you so much for tuning in. But I just really wanted to hammer home the point about just how like this is an old and like crucial sort of bottling this one. There's not many to go around. It says there's 42. That sounds like a lot, but we are talking about a 23-year-old whiskey that is, like I say, otherworldly in flavor, and really looking forward to seeing how that one goes. But it's anyway, rather cool. Serene Sunset Satisfaction. This kind of cask name that you'll struggle to say after a few drams. Then we've got the bundles. Now I'm just gonna touch on these because the bundles are rather cool. They are an opportunity for you to stock up over the Christmas break on some great casks and share them around at the Christmas table, share them around over the festive season or whatever you celebrate, and save some serious coin as well. So the first one is Perfect Summer Dramming for $4.79. Now this is kind of, actually, I'm going to try and zoom in on this one, see if it lets me. Yep, it does let me. Bear with me. Okay, let's have a look at this particular one. The reason why I'm touching on this one is because it says here a hat trick trio and only opportunity to grab cask 71.78. All three casks will make for delightful warm weather dramming selections, limit of one set per member, one bundle per member. Now, the reason why this is an interesting one is because cask 71.78 melt in the mouth biscuits. We accidentally got delivered a case from the UK. So just the 6 bottles. And we're like, well, If you put 6 bottles on an Outturn, it takes up an Outturn spot in like November Outturn or something. It's like, what's the point of trying to like put just 6 bottles or something on an Outturn? So the idea is that we bundle it up with something special, and it's like, well, it's the only opportunity you'll get to taste that whiskey because we only got 6 bottles. So 6 people will get a bottle of that in Australia, and that's it. Then 35.281, which is probably one of my favorite 35s all year. It's, again, super like delicious spirit character, 14-year-old spicy and dry, and a 14-year-old 2.120. We were just talking about Distillery 2 before, like proper floral notes there. So 3 very summary casks to go through. Funky Flavors comes next up the top right here. Again, I'm going to try my zoom skills here. Oh, look at this. So 48.1. Now, this is called, what do we call this one? Yeah, the Funky Flavors, yeah. A triple bottle deal for those who like to live on the funky side of life. Worm tubs, wild spirit, wacky flavors to excite and delight. I was just talking before about how notorious the new make of Distillery 94 is, and that very bottling is part of this trio as well. So you've got Follow the Furry Cheesemonger, you've got 28.51. The Distillery 28 is often quite, again, weird, wonderful, sometimes even a bit chalky and fascinating. And then 48.118, Distillery 48 is a worm tub distillery that make incredible spirit, super spicy and delicious stuff. So that's only $3.99 for 3 bottles. Like, that's absurdly good value. That's a $71 discount on that bundle there. And our last bundle for December, Sherry Lovers, those who love their big sherried whiskies, and we know who you are. So there we go. 3 big sherried whiskies. So we've got Head in the Clouds, 30.118. Welsh Cobbler Sherry Cocktail, 128.13. Was it Jesse Morgan before asking about Dragon Blood? Head in the Clouds is a cracking good whiskey, very similar to the Dragon Blood release. And then 128 is a deeply sherried Welsh whiskey. And then 107.23 Spicy and Substantial, which is quite simply one of the super massive sherried whiskies I think we've seen this year, which is 67.2% ABV or something. It's absolutely massive. Anyway, that's our bundles. I'm going to press on because I haven't got too many questions coming through. Hosting at home. You know what? Over this December, January period coming up, it's a great opportunity to get some friends around and taste some of these whiskeys, especially if you're buying a bundle and cracking them open. These are some great opportunities. It's a great opportunity of the year to have some summer drams. Maybe it's the back patio, maybe it's the front patio, maybe it's just at your local park, maybe it's wherever you like to dram on and have a bit of time to yourself. It's good to invite some friends around, and I've just created some tips here on what's the best way to host at home, how to do it, because we often get asked, how do I, manage that? We've got a home tasting kit on the website, which is free. You just download that. But here's just some extra tips on how to make the most of a home tasting, because sometimes people go a bit overboard, or they're not sure how to sort of what the spread should be, or what to eat, or how many whiskeys should I open, and those kind of questions. So we sort of answer that throughout this session here, about how to things like, I'll just touch on each heading. Create the setting, so find the right place to do it. Prep your space. Maybe you want some copies of the home tasting kit, things like that. Less is more. I can't stress that enough. It's better to have a home tasting with some friends with 3 or 4 bottlings. Don't try and go for sort of 9 or 10 as I sometimes see, because by the time you get to even the 7th, 8th, or 9th one, your palate's going to be pretty shot. Go one by one. Don't rush it. Prepare some tasting notes. Have plenty of water. Focus on flavor, as I've been talking about. I always like the focus on flavor part's more about where do you go next. Someone says, "Oh, this whiskey is sweet." What kind of sweetness is it? Like a brown sugar sweetness, or or is it a honey sweetness? So like, what kind of sweet? Like, drill down on flavors and have a bit of fun like that. And that sort of it concludes the whole Outturn, the December Outturn. Like I said, it's only a little one. It's only a few casks in there. I think if we add it up, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 individual bottlings and 3 bundles. So it's only a little Outturn with a bit of reading. Thank you, Matthew, for that great feedback. I always appreciate it when you guys have feedback for me like this, because it means that I can, if you enjoy these kind of things, you can learn a bit more about each bottling. Theoretically, I can enjoy this 135, like I said, and we can taste through these things and have a chat about them as we go. I actually did have one other thing I was going to show you just this evening. If you can bear with me just a second. Where is it? I literally just 5 minutes before, before we've gone live now, I've managed to, our photographer has pulled through the photos from the Melbourne whiskey train that just happened on Saturday. seriously some cracking photos in here of some of the journey on that train trip, which was really sort of one of the first or second big sort of festive events around the country. Adelaide was just last week, Melbourne this week, and it's been seriously fantastic to actually host this just on Saturday night with Alex Moores, your state manager. Some of the photos that came through, I'll pop some up on the Facebook group, maybe a little bit later on tonight, of how it all went, because just the vibe at that tasting, I think, was second to none, and I'm so glad the members got such a kick out of it. And like I said, some of the photos we've got, I'm just showing you right now, just a few snippets of the whole experience, which was just unbelievable. So I'll put some photos up on our Facebook group later on for us all to see. But that was all from me tonight, and I'm just excited by these. So I was just showing them off. I'm being an absolute show off now, and yeah, so jealous of New South Wales. Don't worry. And Perth was last Thursday. Sorry, I didn't forget about Perth. I don't forget about Perth. We love you guys in Perth. But yeah, Perth and Adelaide have already been. Melbourne's now been. Next up is Wollongong, Sydney, Hobart, Canberra. So there's still tickets for each of those. I think Brisbane's sold out. Brisbane's coming up next week as well. Has completely sold out. But all the rest, there's still a few tickets left. And by the way, the lineup, I'll tell you what, the lineup for Hobart's event, I am supremely jealous of. It's a very cool lineup. So if you are based in Tasmania and you're not down at that Hobart event, my only question is, why not? Anyway, also, because we're on the cusp of December right now, it would be remiss of me not to mention, Anyway, look, we still have some advent calendars available on the site. This is so cool. This is an opportunity for you to grab an advent calendar. I'm going to hold that up so you can see it. There, that's what it looks like. Look at that. 25 casks of Christmas 2021. 25 individual single cask samples. Some upcoming releases, some heritage releases, some things that have been around for a while, but tasty drops. You open one each day over December if you want, or bundle them into at the end of each week, or however you want to do it. Jump on that. They're $3.99 on the website. And they obviously 1st of December is fast approaching. We'll as of today, Monday, we'll express these by default now with the normal postage rate, just for the advent calendars to make sure you get them in time. Can't trust Australia Post with normal post on these kind of things. But the advent calendar is here, and we're heading into the festive season. I'm excited. I'm feeling rejuvenated. I'm ready. So I'm so excited to have you all along for this ride. It's been a fantastic November. Thank you so much. It's been great to share all these experiences and casks with you. It was great to see so many people at Whiskey Abbey. It was so great to see people in person again. You know, it's so weird. Let's hope this, whatever you call it now, what's the latest Transformer name? Omicron. Anyway, let's hope that's not a thing. And we'll just press on, because that's what we're here. And we just get to enjoy whiskey, maybe do some live streams. And I've heard some great feedback from people saying they'd love to see another virtual pub. I don't know if we'll get to squeeze one in this year, but you know what? Let's bring it back. Let's have a summer virtual pub for the whole country. Again, maybe in the early start of 2022. I'm not going to do any sort of big sign-offs, because you know what? I'll be live a few more times between now and the end of the year, of course. I'm going to try and keep going live as often as I possibly can. I can't do every day anymore, but you know what? I can do at least a couple of times a week would be good. You know what? Actually, that's the best advice I've seen for the advent calendar yet. But I also like to preface that by saying, please drink responsibly. Don't drink them all in one hit. But not worry about the Morello's law. Yeah, I drank all my samples and I can't drive to Christmas lunch. Sorry, Auntie. Yep, you might have to be saying that. That, of course, you've just been watching December Outturn walkthrough. This is a chance for us to sit down, have a walk through the Outturn. I hope this has been really useful for me, for you, as it has been for me, because that was actually a chance for me to really dig into each release, have a chat about each one, and take any questions and comments. Have a great December Outturn. This Friday, smws.com.au. Make sure you're logged in and you'll be ready to rumble. See you all soon.